Sometimes when you're glazing, you get a lot of hairs in the work. I try my best to get them, but at some point you just gotta let it go. It's just my DNA locked in the painting forever, I guess. They're really hard, like they're not easy to get out. But what we're gonna do now is do another layer of glazing. Hello, creatures. Booja fun. What's going on? Oh, too much. Too much. I try to be a little frugal with my liquid, because sometimes it goes so fast. So let's go blue. Dark brown and some black. On this. So what I'm doing now is I want to unify the whole piece, and so what I'm going to do is paint the entire. That's why I'm trying to get some of these hairs out of there, because I'm going to paint the whole thing with one solid glaze. I'm going to do a wash over the whole piece. I'm going to do that now. I'll show you guys so it makes sense. So here, I don't know how clear you can see that, but you can see how translucent it is. That's my why. This should cover the whole piece. Just have a larger flat brush, right? And you can see, just gonna wash the whole thing. That's it. Wash everything. Everything needs to be touched so I can move forward. Everything is more important to get touched now, and then I can go over the background, like the black areas, later. But right now my first priority, if I didn't make enough of a wash, is just to cover these characters now. Now it's not completely dry, as I just noticed. As I touch some of that, it's pulling some of the paint, but not enough for me to get worried, because I let it dry kind of for a couple hours, the previous layers. Yeah, it wasn't enough. I didn't mix enough to cover the whole painting, but I mixed enough to cover the entire, my subjects, which is cool. So part of the reason, again, is why I wash it, is it unifies it, and I really like layering. Not all the time, but in this painting, the whole idea is to have these really beautiful, subtle layers of translucent paint. You get all these interesting colors. So you see my mix is all gone, but I covered everything. But I'm gonna make a mix again. This time it'll be a little heavier. I'll show you in a sec. This time it'll be a little heavier in the color, because I'm gonna cover all the background. I'm gonna stay away from my subject now. More liquid. I think that's enough. It's quite a lot, but it should be more than enough, I hope. Now we go to my blue. Here's the blue that I'm using. Here's the liquid. Here's the blue. It's not that much. You see, that's actually a little bit more than I might like, so I'll pull that over here. So that's the amount of blue. Okay. I just mixed it on top of the old glaze, the old wash. Now I'm going to pull some black. Look how much black is on there. Like, we're talking very little, right? Pull the black over here. Got some brown, dark brown over here. Mix that in. So there's my pigment. Okay. And you can do this many times, right? So it's very forgiving. That's why it seems so like, not random, but not unconscious, very just loose. Because I've done this so much, it's a very forgiving process. So this is a very, even though it looks very dark right now, it's very forgiving and it's very transparent. And this is a lot darker than the first wash I did just 5 minutes ago. Okay, so mix it well. You can see how transparent it is here. But this is going to wash the rest of the background now. Okay, so you've seen what I'm doing. It's probably fair I show you. Trying to explain that is nearly impossible. And then I'm just going over the entire background. This you don't need to rush. It's in my best interest not to rush. It seems like it's really easy, but sometimes I can get too carried away and miss spots. But and it's okay if you touch your figure, because you can really easy to move it around and take it away. And this should be enough to cover everything. My lights. You can see how reflective it is, right? Because I'm adding just layers and layers of glaze. It becomes very glass-like. In this lighting, you can see all the background in certain lights is just black, but in this lighting, it looks very. You can see the reflections. But when you get the right lighting on it and it's just sitting on the wall, it looks really crispy. It looks very like smooth and glassy, and that's why I'm doing these layers of glazes. Having a little fun, touching things up. You want to hit everything as best as you can, but they really work together, the layerings, all the different layers. So even if I miss certain areas and stuff, it's fine, because they all work together. I can't guarantee I'll do another entire wash on the piece either, so that's another reason why you want to cover everything. So I noticed this was a little bit wet when I go over it, so I gotta touch it up, and then we'll add the details now. Lord help us all. There's a hair there. Fuck, this won't come out. Better to go over something again than miss it. But again, it really doesn't matter with glazes. You get, it's so for like, as long as you've glazed at some point on the painting, then they're all going to work together, because they're all so translucent, transparent, that they kind of flow into they flow into another. You get some really cool color effects. And it takes patience, I guess, because it's slowly building up layers. But by doing that, you get a lot of grace. You're given a lot of grace, a lot of forgiveness. Okay. So that'll dry also by today. Like this layer that I just did will be dry in a couple hours, especially when I point the fan on it. But I do think I have the mindset now to start adding some detail here, pulling the entire piece together. You want to clean this brush really well because you don't want to leave the liquid on it while it dries. It's not healthy for the brush. Really clean, but I don't need this brush for a while, so it goes back in my stack. And now I go to my little brushes. Let me see. I have some Teletubby references, some skull references, this kind of strawberry thing here. I'm going to start in a specific area, probably around here and here. Yeah, work all the way around. Actually, let's go with the skull. The skull needs some work. I'm not sure what I'm doing with it. Is it going to just stay like a traditional skull? I thought so. Can't touch the canvas. Normally I place my hand on the canvas. You can use like a maul stick up top, but it's just delicate. So I'm going to put some. Right now I'm testing the color too, right? You see I'm not like moving, I'm just testing the color to see how it's going to land. It's also got liquid, so I'm still using liquid. So it's got more pigment, meaning like it's putting a lot more paint down than like a wash. But I'm also looking to really like put some like kind of finishing carpenter stage. So the rough-in carpenter builds the house with the frame, and then you have like the molding carpenters and the finishing carpenters. That's kind of where I want to be, is I want to be putting finishing touches on it. I don't want to be reshaping his face or the suit. I really want to just use what I have now. Because I kind of told myself, I painted this base yesterday and I really want to finish this piece today, if possible. I'm looking at a skull reference. With kind of the right shadow that matches the suit. But you can divert any time too if something starts to show itself. I don't even know what that could be yet, but I just mean I'm not really sold on anything. If the skull turns out to look really good, well, it'll stay there. I do want to put my finger down, but remember, you can't. Everything is wet. So you need like a steady hand. You don't need a lot of paint on the brush. Do you want to be able to see inside the eye? Like, do you want this? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll show you. You want the inner shadow? And remember, I've done a wash even over top of all of this. And so all my paints that I'm working with, they're blending with one another as we speak. And they build up little layers. I don't like this line here. We're going to lose it. In this case, maybe less is more. I don't need like all the little annotations of the skull right now anyway. All the small details. I don't know what's happening with the teeth. This kind of comes out more here. Same thing as like, you know, when you first start the painting, you're using like a sledgehammer as a tool, probably a bigger brush, way less focus on the small details. So you're using like a sledgehammer. And then as you go along, you slowly migrate and change your tools. And you can use certain tools, even large tools aren't a bad thing, but you do want to have the right tool for the job. And that's why you get, you know, like super craftsmen, they have those little pin hammers, so they can just like tink, 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 like they can just hit little spots exactly where they want to strike, right? It's very precise. But there are some fantastic painters that use a large brush to add those small details, so I think that becomes like a preference. I like a small brush because it doesn't let me get out of hand. It keeps me contained. I can't make like one big stroke, but sometimes I'll go over things where it's like, hey, this needs like a big stroke. I might change the tool. Typically I don't need to though, it's not kind of my... But sometimes you want a big block of color and you want it done in one swoop. So you bring in a larger hammer, larger tool. Let's see, we gotta play with this. I don't want it to be like a Simpsons skull. Kind of like that. It's kind of abstract. You want the shape to look good. Probably, in this case, more than the details. You want the right light source. And this is a little bit hard. If I make a mistake here, easy to fix it. So just get some paint in there. We're even gonna go a little brighter now. What happens when we go brighter? So we just took it up a value now. We're in the bright zone. Even almost basically highlight zone. Keep wanting putting my finger down. We are gonna have to here because I want this edge. You see, with my finger down, I can get really surgical with it. my finger as an anchor over here. I just stick my nail into the painting, and then I can get pretty surgical with these small strokes. Dr. Death. Yeah, you see I can even pick away at these teeth like with millimeter strokes. Doesn't mean they're good, it just means I have full control. They still might need to be adjusted and worked. So now I just applied these like strokes here with the paint, the layer, and now I have like a dry brush. This is pretty wonky, so let's clean it off. I just cleaned it off with mineral spirits. Really get it dry. And now I'm just touching this. I'm just moving the paint around. Very, very gentle. And this brush is really good for not pulling the paint from underneath. It's just touching the top layer that I just put on. Some brushes they're stiff, the bristles are like aggressive, and they'll like rip the paint from underneath. They'll really move they'll dig in too deep, even with a gentle hand. So this brush is very, I know that this brush is not going to do that. It's not going to pull out the underneath layer, the deep layers that I put on like a session ago. We're not going back to highlight. We're going to go back to kind of a mid-tone here. Going to play around with the nose a bit. I'm gonna go a little darker, but brighter than here. So what's on my brush is brighter than this dark shadow in the mouth here, which I really starting to like the mouth. The mouth looks all crooked and bent and confused. I like that. Good, it's good. So this value is brighter than here, but darker than here. Now we have like kind of the crown of the skull that I want to get in here. I think the skull is probably the most important part of this piece. The suit is the focal point. The skull needs to be good enough for me anyway. And the accent is my little strawberry suffocator. He goes around and suffocates you in your sleep. Honestly, it's very mediocre. I could do that in my drunken stupor. Hang on, Brandon. Hang in there. We're still working on her. She's coming to life. Slowly but surely. Okay, now I gotta go switch over to, let's look at my strawberry. Because this is further along, believe it or not, this area is further along than this guy, so I know I'm gonna need to work on this one more time, maybe later today. So I need to get things kind of defined so that they can dry over the course of the afternoon. I don't want to leave it at this stage now because I think I can get this done today if I attack it later on. And I want it to dry, so let's get those, like, what I'm saying is I don't want to be doing what I'm doing right now in 5 hours from now. That is not, so there's quite a bit of planning, and it's not rocket science. It's just paying attention to what needs to be locked in now so that when I come back later I can really put the right touches on it. Same with the eyes. Like, eyes always need a couple goes, typically, for me anyway. So let's do, I think I have some. I'll move that for you. I think I want him to be cute. I think we'll get the wings in now too, because I'll probably do a layer of glaze over the get some kind of hard lines going. Again, I want those to be dry within, when I come back at this, maybe like in the evening, early evening even. And these kind of lines are important to really lock in the layout. It's like, hey, this is what we got here. Stay focused. It's really easy to move. Remember, when you're doing glazes, it's really easy to move things around without kind of like making things muddy or messing things up. I'll also go a little bit hard . the eyes now too, because again, anything that's going to be like a really strong color, get that in now. Yeah, it's all planning and getting yourself ready and set up for the next session. Again, I just prefer not to be putting like really bold, thick pigment layers on now later, because I want to be able to play with things in the final details. So anything that's really dark, let's get that in there now, because we can always bring it back up. We'll even do some of the, because this is a strawberry little guy. Let's get his dimples in now as well. It's not dark enough for dimples, so let's. Looks like a very similar red here. I'm not sure what we're going to do for his nose. And I'm not sure what we're going to do. I don't think eyebrows. So that's a good base. So I thought I was actually putting in dimples, like the seeds of the strawberry, but the base that I just put down was actually thicker one that I thought, but it's working, so I like it as a good base. Then we'll go darker for the dimples and the shadows around the eyes. But now I have this character in. Let's work on his. I still want to stay in the mid, so everything seems to be too dark here on the pillow. Let's put a couple strokes down. Get a dry brush. I think I'll worry about putting creases in later. Let's just get like a solid base. Even this skull is now like a solid base. We can keep adding details moving forward. Let's get this pillow looking like a pillow and just like a base. just noticed. Okay. It's like a slow gradient. To this side is a little darker. We got a good base. I'm pretty. I don't know. Kind of. It almost looks like a newspaper or something. I don't want that. I really want to see if I can make it look like a pillow. So I know there's going to be like he's gripping it here. I'll probably have to look up some references, different ones. Like the skull you can kind of get away without. I'm kind of creating my own because I've painted so many skulls over the years and kind of like, but I don't remember the last time I painted a pillow and made it look like a pillow. So I need some help. Let's find a pillow. I don't want it to be like a newspaper. Sometimes, if it turns out that it's just a newspaper, well then I'll make it a newspaper. But I prefer that not to be the case. I guess it has to be like fluffy out here, coming up, get the base. The corners are like corners. All right. Alright, now let's go brown and black for, let's see if we can get this. I have a pillow here now, but it's wrinkles, kind of like he's gripping it. Oh, I'm not sure. Obviously he's grabbing it, I just don't know if this will be clear as day as a pillow. Really want it to be a pillow though, because he's my suffocating strawberry. So it's darker over here, kind of some lines over here, darker at the bottom. Come on. And we'll puff it out here so it'll be more brighter in the middle, like it's poofy. Get your dry brush and then just work this around, because remember you got a couple layers going on here. So just make everything mixed together gently. Well, I like it better than I did, so that's something. I'm actually continuing to use this dry brush to put on paint because it's very, it's like a different application. So it's going to give it a different texture. Oh, it's raining. And remember, I want it puffy here. And there's like under shadow. again, better than when I started, so. Let me get my dry brush one more time, but we're gonna go gentle here. Who wouldn't want to be suffocated by a strawberry fairy? Remember, now we go back to the dimples, which I originally started out with, or tried to attempt. Got a little. Strawberry dimples forever. Adding character by putting some shadow in their eyes here. Still don't really know what's happening with the nose. Here we got a little. Maybe he doesn't really get a nose. Strawberry fairy. Strawberry fairy. You don't get noses, I guess. Good to know. Calm the dimples down. Sam from TikTok. Oh yeah, Trick or Treat. That was a good one. I haven't seen that in a while. That was the anthology, right? Like they had, yeah, you know what? I don't even if I remember any of the stories, but I remember it was good. Trick or Treat, that is, that movie. Yeah, I remember I liked it way more than I thought I would. That's what I remember about Trick or Treat. But there was that little character. I can't remember. Good to see you guys. So this one will be about like 4 or 5, 3 to 5 sessions total. And I think this is the third session. And I'm anticipating a session this evening, and it'd be nice if I can get it wrapped up tonight. That's in my best interest. So I just picked up a brush. I was talking about this about 25 minutes ago. there's certain brushes that will pull the layer from underneath. It's not just using the top layer, and I hate that. Whereas I'm just gonna grab the brush that doesn't do that now. So, got this brush, make sure I just washed it in mineral spirit. Completely dry. You wanna dry it more than you think you need to. So it's totally free from any turpentine or mineral spirit, and it's not gonna dig in to the layers underneath. It just dusts the wet on top. And what I was doing here just moments ago, it was pulling the bottom layer, and that drives me crazy when I don't want, especially when I'm not looking to do that. I just want to play with the paint that I put on. So I don't want to pull this layer. I want this to be brighter here, and I'm just gonna lightly dust it. So one brush puts on the paint in a targeted area, this brush here, and then this brush lightly works it in. Put on the paint and work it in. Okay. This is actually like a bluey gray. It just looks really bright, like a bright white, but it's just like a bluey gray. It seems that way because of the contrast. The light's going to reflect here and here, like it's coming from this way as best as I can. I don't get too caught up in that, especially for this piece. Remember my theory or my rules, like I don't care if it's accurate, just make sure it looks good. I don't care if it's proportionate, just make sure it looks good. And that can often mean that it needs to be proportionate in order to look good, for sure. Like sometimes say, hey, it's not going to look good unless you make it accurate, but in general, that's my first goal, is just to make sure it looks good. Like this skull's not proportionate, but I like it. Looks good to me. His eyes are too weird and the things don't really align, but I like it. I like it kind of, it's weird looking. It's good enough for me. I am looking at like some cartoon pillows as references. So I don't love his eyes. Just pat it down a little bit. We can brighten them up again, but I just want them to look really alive. So a little more nuanced is going to be good. Like googly eyes, kind of. What's also in my best interest is to get this kind of cleaned up. Let's go back to my suit. The yellow and green, or I don't know, it's a toss-up between the skull and the suit, but the suit needs to be tight. This is kind of my objective when I thought of this idea yesterday, was the Lancashire, UK, always on. What's up? Is this a commission? No, spooky, no. This is just the idea of the last 48 hours. Okay, always on. Good to see ya. It's getting some liquid on for my yellow body. Not too much. Again, my strategy is to get this in the closest position I can for later today. So I have like good enough contrast to work with. Like everything is like at a base level where I want to be able to come back today, this evening, and really pull it all together. I don't want to be in a spot that I'm reworking anything to make it look right. So I want everything to look right. Now, and then I can come back to tonight, put a couple more washes, some more glaze layers on it. And then tidy up some of the details, and then I'll be happy. So pick out so you want your base yellow, like wherever there's going to be the base, and then you have your high tones and low tones. So right now I'm just putting in the middle part, the middle yellow, minus the shadows and the highlights. And these are the paints mixed with liquid, so they're not just straight pigment, straight oil paint. They're mixed with a medium. And there's a bunch of reasons why, if you listened to me ever before. It's just, there's a bunch of reasons why this type of it's like a technique, I guess. This style, why I do it. You don't need to. The paintings the last couple of days there were very little liquid. Just when I'm doing shadow work and stuff, like with the dark backgrounds, I like it. I think I enjoy it. Let's go brighter now. We're gonna go a little higher. A brighter yellow. Looking at his suit, seeing where there's some ripples. Watching where the shadows are. It's still not a highlight yellow, like it's just a little bit more than the base. Right? It's just like a slow build up. So you start kind of like in the low, I had all the shadows down. So that's the low level of the building. And then you start working your way up, and then you'll go back and forth. It's not totally, it's not all slowly all the way to the top. You want to have, I at least like to go back and forth because it's kind of a combination. But right now we are just going higher and higher and higher in the brightness. Again, being conscientious of the shadows around his hands. You can even get a little funky and watch this. I'll throw a little. This is the fun of glazes, so I get my glaze, but I'm just adding a little orange by. So instead of adding like a brown or a dark, like a black, it's not black. You just I'm adding a little bit of red into it. And that's going to make it, so now I've gone back dark. Instead of going brighter and brighter, I'm going a little darker. Now I did add a little more brown and red here. And we're even going to add some of the dark glaze from the previous layer. Because there is some darkness in select spots. There's like ripples in his suit. Little frills or... But you see, it's not black. It's not too heavy. And if it's not deep enough, we can go back over it again. And that's the patient game, right? Like just because it's not exact right now, it's gonna build. You're building. Definitely like it more than when I started. because it looks like kind of like he's like a dinosaur outfit. That's cool, like those toddler Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let's see what happens now when I go even brighter than the bright here. Let's go a little bit harder. You get your liquid and yellow, your base yellow, but then let's add some white to that mix. So now this is the brightest yellow we've gone so far. It's not like ultra bright. I don't want to get ahead of myself because it might not even need like an ultra bright. Let's see here. But we're gonna go slow and follow some imaginary lines too. Like the suit. It's gonna have some highlights here, some ripples. It's not all just a blanket color, right? That's why I use these small, like I wanna pick and choose where this bright color goes. Seems like, let's imagine that this color, sorry, this bottom part's hitting some of the sun, the light. There's gonna be some, it's gonna hit it here too. It's gonna hit it here. Kind of pick some areas just to hit it. Pull it there and then mix that around. Dry brush. Now, if I was actually like finishing the painting, I would probably start putting some accents and like having a little more fun, like maybe some stray. We're just not there yet, so you don't need to worry about that. I just need a really good base to work from when I come back for the 100th time later today. Kind of repeating myself now. Just adding some orange. Kind of mid-tone. Seems to be bright here. Almost like a flower now. I kind of like it. Let's hit it without some, because I think I've jumped right over to green to see what happens here. I'm just going to touch it first. I don't mind if he has an aura. An aura is okay. You'll see a lot of paintings, like the classics, the greats. A lot of their figures and their subjects have auras, and it's pretty cool. The reason I'm putting this green is because I was working in this yellow and I was getting brighter and brighter, but I wasn't sure how bright I need to go because it should be matching the same value as the green. So I'm just getting that green in now, a little bit anyway, to see how bright we're going. Kind of want it to be like furry or like felt or velvety, like suit. So you're kind of like doing like a bit of a stippling blend. So it's not just like he's not wearing plastic. It's not plastic, it's like fabric. This is brighter here. It's kind of like these. I'm looking at these are too dark, so yikes. Sometimes you can forget what you were doing. Go back when you remember. Go back to what you were doing. Let yourself drift, it's fine, but stay focused when it's come back. This goes right into there. I'm really glad I'm doing. I think I want to give him an aura. I forgot, like, that didn't come from nowhere. I was thinking about like kind of adding some like blue light coming from him. Like kind of particular in here. Let's try that. Another example of like, as long as it looks good but it's not accurate, is like if I make some of these ripples that are not the same as the reference photo, but they look good, well then they stay, like that's it. Yeah, like I did my job. They're good. No, sorry, back to the aura. Okay, so I mix my blue, a little bit of dark brown and black, get my liquid. And now what we'll do is, we'll do a line here, and it's gonna come into the background, into the black shadow. We're gonna do a line here, right? Very translucent. We'll do some line here, line here. This is my aura. A little bit over here. Not so much, yeah, that's fine, that doesn't really matter. Now we're gonna brighten it up a little. Let me add a little white into that little mix. We're gonna go over it again, a little more focused. A little more focused. Hit all those areas that you hit. Okay. Okay, now we get our dry brush. Holy shit, who's that? Who are you? Clay's Memes. Let me buy this off you. Okay, can you like hit me on Instagram? I'll show you when it's ready. It'll be ready today or tomorrow. Clay's Meme, but oh, hey, let me. Most importantly, thanks, man. Like, thank you. I appreciate that. Stop me in my tracks. That's really cool. That's really cool. Thank you. Just sitting with that for a moment. Yeah, Clay's Memes. So, if you can, like, the only way I can get a message from you is if you hit me on Instagram. And I can keep you posted. I'll let you know first if you want. And should be done today, but probably get a photo of it tomorrow, and then we can chat about it. But I really appreciate the support. Big time. Anyways, back to it then. Thanks, Clay's Memes. Clay's Memes. Don't get me singing, man. So back to my aura. So I'm pulling right into the background. The background that's really never been touched before. And with a translucent layer. This is just stylistically, there's no real, like, this is just me copying the greats and other people that are really great at painting. They have these auras, and it's just really a great way to blend and work your characters in and make them work with the shadows, especially, and pulling out like different kind of colors combinations and stuff is fun. Like I can get a really wacky. I will throw, I got some neon pink with some liquid. Let me see where that would go. Let's throw some here. There's some neon pink with some liquid. Again, we're just doing aura work. Throw some, see, there's some neon. This is the fun of glazing too, by the way. Just pull it around. Just add some more neon pink back to the aura, mixing with the blues. Now I'm going to go over here. Gonna just tweak some of the shape here. We also should worry about the wings now. I need to look at a wing here, some wings. I think it's just like that. There's kind of like, the majority of them are actually like a bit of a darker, and then there's like veins, wing veins. kind of make them up as you, again, because it's pretty subtle. You just want some indication that you've touched these. And then you can do like the actual veins later, and very, again, subtle. The more subtle, probably the better. Let's add some of, I keep calling them ripples, but folds in the fabric here. So again, later I have something to work from, final touch wise. I'm gonna go a little harder. This is like basically pure black. Because there are some areas, again, I can calm this down quite a bit. But now's the time to get that I don't know how to change my cursed piece of art. Yeah. How much to get one done at this level would you be able to paint Guts from Berserk in full armor? Yeah, I'm a huge Berserk guy. Love Berserk. Big fan. I kind of don't really do commissions, to be honest. It's just because my feelings changed from, really, I say day to day, but week to week. But I do love Guts, and that kind of style is not really my thing. But I do like armor. But it wouldn't just be like kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna paint Guts from Berserk. It would have to be some sort of mashup with something else, typically anyway. But I do love Guts. I love that saga, that epic tale. It's kind of really what blew me away when it came to anime, and And then that, like that opened the door is what I'm trying to say. Like, oh, Berserk is just incredible. Oh. So no, I wouldn't really do just a guts thing, but you never know. One day I might go, oh, I really want to do my own version of him. That's not completely out of the question, but it's not normally what I do. I kind of have to learn over the years, you know, I'm getting older, so what I've learned is that I will paint what I want to paint. And sometimes that aligns up with what other people have in mind. But in general, it does not. So remember, you want this felt kind of look, not plasticky look. So you want to keep stippling stuff. Like, see the way that I'm working now? It's very like dotted. So when I say stipple, I mean like dots and like imperfections in the suit, because I don't want to be plastic. I want it to be felt, like that fabric, the Muppet fabric, velvet, whatever, but some sort of fabric versus plastic, like a cheap plastic Halloween costume. Now back to my aura before I let you guys go. My aura, we're gonna even go a little further in the brightness. So now we're just like a very baby blue. I'm going inside. I'm not going further out. I'm not going all the way out here. No, the aura is still in here, but I'm just going over with the baby blue inside the previous work, the previous blending. And then we blend that again. And that's how I did my aura. You probably have to watch the last 25 minutes to even know what I'm talking about right now, but the auras are fun. Fun little, very subtle. You'd only ever notice it, I guess, if you're physically looking at this painting, which will be very little unless it's ever shown somewhere. Even when I take a decent image of it, it's pretty hard to see. Not impossible, but very, very faint. But it makes a difference. I like it. I just noticed that down here is a little bit neglected. I lied, I'm not leaving you yet. Let me give this some attention. First, let's go to a dark green, not black, and not green, kind of like a really, add a little brown in there. I think I got some brown, no brown. So brown and green, dark brown, even a little black, and then your base green, which is like this, but I just want to get this, again, because I'm plotting out my next session. The more little details I can get here, like where things are accurate, the more it's going to help me when I'm trying to finish this later today. Can you hear the thunder far away? Looks like snow pants. You guys know what snow pants are? Did anyone grow up in the cold? Do they still have snow pants? They gotta have snow pants, right? For kids? Snow pants were great because they gave you like a sense of extra layer of protection so you could be more rambunctious. Even though they wouldn't do much, they felt like they would. Like they patted you so you could be, more rambunctious. Oh, snow pants. I haven't thought of snow pants for 20 years. Jeez Louise. Snow pants. Okay, now let's go. So that was my dark run. Brighten it up. Go in the darker to middle. Like, so we got my base green. We'll add a little darkness, but it's nowhere near what it was. Get your liquid. Let's go here. So here's brighter, right? Like on this side it's brighter. Oh, brighter here, sorry. For some reason there's like a backlit, a little bit backlit. You see there's a difference between the brightness and this green, but I'm not loving this green, to be honest. But you can mix in different colors. We also need to work these guys. I actually don't care how they look, they just need to be full, and I don't want to alter, like I want the shape. Right now, forget how they look, just get that shape in there. So I can go, okay, the shape's good, and then we can play with the shadows and stuff later. I don't want to play with the shapes later. That will not be, that's not good for me. So it's just easy. Why? Because it's the same similar green anyway. That is here. You also don't want to leave certain things like alone. You don't want like one random color of green somewhere. Like I can't remember what I was listening to this cool interview of an artist. I can't, like, something along the lines of like a unicorn color, or like in the painting he had like one random color, or like it's not even a focal point, it's just like an anomaly. I'll have to go back and listen what the word is, how he described like random. But in general, I don't want to have like one shade of green that doesn't work with anything else. It's not in my best interest. But because I keep mixing greens over and over, you are going to get, so you kind of want to work them around. I've gone a little brighter. And you want to unify things. So the reason why I'm just not sticking, because I want this green that I have now is a one-of-a-kind green, but it's got to be everywhere to work. Unify. Especially for like the suit, right? It's all like, in theory, one color, but it's actually all of these different greens in order to make it. It's not just it's not just green, there's all these variations of green. There's a little backlit here, there too. You see how like it's dark here, you'd think it'd be dark because it's dark over here. No, there's some backlight hitting it from this way. It's still picking up some of this. This is basic portraiture. You look at any portraiture, even if it's a photograph or a painting, they often have like backlighting, and it just looks more finished, I guess, or more real, even though it almost doesn't make sense. Like, why do they put light over here? It just looks better. And I think if you actually take a photo, you'll see some like not an aura, but like you'll see some backlight, some light hitting it in different areas that wouldn't make sense to the untrained eye. Okay, over here. Oh, it's raining. Damn. I'm glad though I didn't. Sometimes, there's weird places you can get to where, like, I just said I don't want to neglect this area, and sometimes you're just like, oh, I don't care. Who cares? I don't like when I get in that spot, so I'm happy I have the energy to not neglect these areas. Oh, it's not raining, it's a gardener. The neighbors or something. Wish I had a gardener. And this can be kind of fun, like an abstract. This is very abstract, these lines, because I'm loosely following the photo, the reference, and you kind of just create your own world. Oh no, it is raining. It's not the neighbors. Oh, here it comes. Might get loud. Yeah, it's raining good. Oh, this guy's adorable. Okay. Okay, the last thing I'll do before I let you guys go is just have one more look at this strawberry here. So there's already paint on here. It's probably a little tacky. It's not dry at all. But I remember I put some black here already. So I'm just using, not a completely dry brush, but I wiped it off. I have some mineral spirit, but I'm just using very little paint to play with what I have here already. So I literally have no paint on the brush. I'm just using what I did 30 minutes ago. Right, and that's kind of like aiming for like really fine details. Make these eyes like look really clean, blending in what's here already. That's been drying for a number of minutes. Just using what I have. But the reason is because I'm going to have to put these little seeds in his seeds in his little holes, and I think they'll be too aggressive. Yeah, there we are. But I want to be able to tone them down a little later, so let's get them in now. Right? And if they're too aggressive later, I can kind of calm them down with like a wash. But I don't want to do this later because then if they are like, I need time to adjust them, and they need to be dry to the touch, or at least a little bit. I can work with them later. If I do this later, then I can't work with them. That's just the planning I've been rambling about for the last 2 hours. So I can work with them now, right? Like if this guy's way too bright, I'll pull some of the paint off. at these veins in the wing veins because, again, can work them later. But these are kind of like final touches. Same with the shape of the pillow. Let's get that in now. I don't want it to be too blurry. I do want it to be, and remember these are these shadows I was talking about. Like there's this light hitting the back of it. That's something you don't really worry about till later, but then it's really, it's one of those little tricks. And I probably painted this about 30 or 40 minutes ago now, maybe 30 minutes. So it's a little tacky, so what I'm painting now, they're really working well together. Same with this, I keep hitting this top head of the skull. Put down my paint, got a dry brush, just dab it. Kind of not the right color, but we'll work with it. This is like a yellow. Something happening in the panel there, so you want to cover that as much as you can so it dries. And then later, hopefully it's workable. But is there something pulling off there? So I just added more pigment to cover it. So when I come back on it later, it's going to hold a lot easier. It's also in my best interest to, this is like really, we are now bordering in the world of final touches because, you see, I can't like brush the whole thing. I have to work around these little seeds. A good example of like the different like final touches compared to kind of the middle stage that I was at earlier. Right, now I got a brighter pink peach. Gonna dab it on. And you have to be pretty precise now with where you're gonna put these. These colors. Okay. Gentle, slowly. You can still fix things if you make mistakes, but the less mistakes you make, the better it is. So if you go slow, you should be good. Just work around those little strawberry seeds. You can start actually bringing out his fingers too with highlights. I guess they're little mitts. again, the more I get done now, the easier it'll be later today. Oh, it's coming down now. Rain. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Oh yeah, it's a storm. Wow. All right, I'm outie. I'm outie 5,000. Thanks again, Clay's Memes. Appreciate you. I'm out. See you guys again later. Bye, guys. Tired.